I'm Ryan McLean from PublicSpeakingPower.com, and today I'm interviewing someone very special, my father, who is a part of Toastmasters and who goes to the Toastmasters meetings. And so I wanted to create a video and a podcast about what it would be like to go to one of these meetings first time, because I know there's a lot of people who want to go, but who say they're too scared to actually go. And the whole point of Toastmasters is to actually become more confident in public speaking, but if you never get there, then you're never going to get more confident. So thanks for coming, Dad.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here.
So we're filming on my dad's porch, and we got some tea, which is what we do when we go to Dad's place. So let's just get straight into it. When someone goes to a Toastmasters meeting for the first time, how many Toastmasters meetings are there around the world?
There's near 14,500 Toastmaster clubs in 122 countries around the world. So it's a fairly big organisation, and it serves a purpose of instilling confidence and bringing people forward and helping them out in a lot of areas in their work or in their personal life, or just getting to speak to people when you're out and about.
Yeah, so no matter where you live, there's probably going to be a Toastmasters somewhere, and public speaking and learning how to do that is very important if we want to get ahead in life. So Dad's been going to Toastmasters for how long?
I've been going for just over 12 months now. The thing about Toastmasters is that you can go as a guest. You don't have to join a club. You can look around your local area. There might be 3 or 4 within your area in different clubs.
Firstly, how do you find where one is? Do you Google it?
You could Google it, yeah. Or perhaps you know someone at work who might already be going, or a friend of yours. You could go as their invited guest. So they, for example, I would take you as a guest to my Toastmasters club. When we got there, I would introduce you to everybody at the meeting, and then you would have the option then to speak if you wanted to, or take part, or you could just sit back and watch.
Okay, so do you need to be invited to go, or can you?
No, anybody can turn up at any Toastmasters club. I know a lot of people who are in Toastmasters, if they travel and they're in another city, they would actually go to a Toastmasters meeting, which again is a way of meeting
meeting new people
in that town. You've got a common interest. You can just turn up at all. So you can turn up at any club, and perhaps the idea is to look at a couple of different clubs, because some of the clubs are structured differently. Some are more formal, some are more informal. Go to a couple of clubs and see which one you like,
and then keep going to the one that you like.
Yeah.
Is there a dress code when you go to Toastmasters?
No, there's no dress code. Perhaps some of them are held within licensed premises. Like, for example, I'm in Cronulla RSL Toastmasters. So obviously you need to be fairly well presented when you turn up.
So you need like a collared shirt, pants, shoes, no thongs?
Yeah, I think if you go comfortable, I think that also makes you more confident as well. If you're going to turn up in your singlet and everyone else is in a dress shirt,
yeah,
you're going
so
to be
probably don't rock up in your tuxedo, but maybe don't go without a shirt on.
Somewhere in between those two, perhaps. Is probably the best. Smart casual. If you go smart casual, if you're going to feel comfortable, you're going to fit in anywhere.
Yeah, so. Smart casual, you're going to be safe, because if they're more formal, then you'll still be formal enough, and if they're more casual, you'll still be casual enough.
Yeah, maybe not your ripped jeans for the first time.
Save that for the second meeting. Yeah. So let's say we go as a guest, either invited or we go by ourselves. Do we need to RSVP if we're going by ourselves, or do we just turn up?
I think no, just turn up. I mean, the thing about Toastmasters, they'll welcome you in with open arms. There's no ownership of Toastmasters. Toastmasters is owned by the members, so the more the merrier. So they're going to welcome you. And it's all about bringing people on.
So we turn up, let's say we turn up by ourselves, we mingle and meet some people before it starts.
Yep.
And then how does the meeting start? And as a guest, how would we be involved? And, what are our choices of speaking or hiding in the back?
All of those and above. In the Cronulla RSL, for example, we start with a fairly formal structure. You get to take part in a business meeting. There's a chairman. We look at correspondence in, correspondence out, anything that's come from Toastmasters International, or anything that we need to address within the club. For example, we may need to raise some money to buy a new microphone, and we actually had some discussion about filming people while they were doing their speeches. So, so there was a question of whether people wanted to do that or not.
What was the verdict?
The verdict was that if you wanted to have your speech recorded, you do it on your own iPhone, and then you keep ownership of that. So
yeah,
pretty much pretty simple. So then after the formalities are over, we have a thing called table topics, and table topics is based on impromptu speaking. So one of the Toastmasters for that week will have been given the task of doing what we call table topics, where every member who's there gets an impromptu question, and you have to stand up and speak between a minute and a minute and a half.
So does every single member have to do this, or is this an opt-in?
If you were a guest, of course, the Toastmaster, who was the in charge of that section, would ask, would you like to participate?
Yeah.
So perhaps for the first week you might say,
No thanks.
no thanks. But then having seen perhaps half a dozen people get up, you might think, well, I could have a crack at that. So we've had table topics where guests have come who have actually then become members, and I've seen them go from standing up at table topics in impromptu speaking for 15 seconds and stammering and sitting down to waxing lyrical for a minute and a half, a few minutes down the track.
Yeah, so it starts with table topics, which you can either decide to take part in or not as a guest, which is impromptu speaking. So the person who is running the table topics will just give you something to run with, a topic or something to talk about.
Perhaps it might be movie titles or song titles.
Yeah.
So you might get the title, Batman.
Yeah.
You've got to stand up and
think of something.
Think about something. You could then get up and say, well, when I was younger, I used to have a Batman cape, and then I jumped off the top of the wardrobe and I broke my leg. Something, it's just something that flows. It's the sort of thing that helps you in conversation when you're out. Like, if you can think impromptu speaking, it makes you a better conversationalist.
Well, I think
good for dinner parties.
I think impromptu speaking is one of the best skills people can have, because I think one of the fears of public speaking is that you're afraid you're going to stammer and fail, and that when you're stuck in that situation, you won't know what to do. And by becoming a great impromptu speaker, you know that no matter what happens, you can kind of pick up from any spot and run with it. So I think a lot of fear of public speaking would come out of not knowing what to do if an awkward situation arose.
Yeah, well, you're talking about fear. An interesting thing, I've spoken to people and they said, would come to Toastmasters. We have a Toastmasters club, and they say, I would love to come to Toastmasters because I'm too scared. And I said, well, that's why you should come to Toastmasters. Because it really does give you the confidence to meet people. And it's not even just public speaking, it's general conversation. It's going out to a dinner party, it's meeting a girl when you're out, or a boy, or wherever you are, and just having that confidence to be able to stand and take a conversation from the start to a middle to an end, and maintain that thread.
And that's exactly what this video is about, showing people this is what will look like when you go to Toastmasters, so they're not saying, oh, I'm too afraid to go, and we want to get them past that step. So after table topics, then how does the meeting progress after
Well,
that?
then normally there's a break. In our club we break and we have a cup of tea and a biscuit. Cup of tea, and everyone sort of has a general chat.
Yeah. How long does that go for? 15 minutes or something?
10, 15 minutes, and you can go to the bathroom in that time. And then you come back, and that's when the fun starts. That's when we'll have about 4 speakers for the evening. People will be working their way through the various manuals. The first manual is the Complete Communications Manual, which has 10 speeches, and we probably discuss.
We'll go through that in the next video about the different manuals, and once you join Toastmasters, how things progress for you. But
so basically there'll be 4 speakers, maybe 5, and each speaker will have their own, obviously their own topic, their own speech, but then they will be evaluated by another member in the Toastmasters group. So they will give their speech, and then at the end of the speeches, there will be an evaluation which helps, again, to build your confidence, because they will give you some salient points about what you did wrong, and also where you could probably improve.
Yeah, so they'll talk about what you did well, what you could have improved upon, so that next time you become a better speaker over time. Yeah,
and as a guest, you sit and you watch and you observe, and at the end of the meeting, the Toastmaster in charge will invite you if you wanted to, did you have any comments about the meeting tonight? And some people would say, well, I'm glad I came and I enjoyed the funny bit that guy told.
So that will be in an open forum, sort of, what did you enjoy about tonight? The guests will be asked.
Yeah, the whole thing is an open forum. It's a very comfortable environment, and you and again, if you get asked and you just don't, you'll just say, I really don't want to say anything at this stage.
Yeah. And then the meeting concludes after that.
Yes.
And so how would a guest then be approached by one of the members to ask to join?
Well, there'll be a VPE, which is a Vice President of Education, or someone who's in charge of new members. The other thing, if you come as a guest, you will be introduced. Someone will come up to you when you arrive. Hi, Ryan, and you'll say, I'm here for the first time, and you get a little bit about you. So in the actual, when we start the meeting, we'll say, I would like to welcome Ryan here this evening. Ryan's flown in from the Gold Coast, and he's visiting, and he just wants to have a look at the Toastmasters, and please everybody make Ryan very welcome. So yeah,
Thank you
very much. Yeah.
So it all sounds very welcoming. It sounds like a great environment. Is it a small group or large groups?
Most of them, I think they vary in size depending on where you go. I think we've got up to maybe 24 members, but you don't all get them all there on the one night. Obviously, people have got different things. You could have a meeting as small as half a dozen to maybe a meeting of like 20, and then also there's different zone meetings where things get bigger and bigger. So then go to different area competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's once you become a member.
Once you become a member, so obviously they would give you the option. You can go back as a guest a number of times to see if that's the club you want to join. And again, I would stress that it's probably advisable to have a look at a couple of different clubs around where you are. You might find one where you just click with everybody.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Stuart.
Thank you very much.
Father of the presenter.
Gee.
And we will discuss in the next video more about once you become a member, how do things progress from there. And we've got some manuals here which we'll have a look through as well and learn more about how we can become better public speakers as a part of Toastmasters. But after speaking to Dad, I have been thinking about going to Toastmasters, so I think I will need to get across to one, meet some people, and document that journey as well.
Hey, you could come as my guest.
I could come. Maybe next time I'm down in Sydney, I can come as your guest.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Handshake.
Handshake.